Well, Mara Schiavocampo is on a mission, and she shed major weight and now is living a more healthy lifestyle. And she shares her amazing journey in her new book, Thin-spired, How I Lost, listen to this, 90 pounds, my plan for lasting weight loss and self-acceptance. Mara is an ABC News correspondent, and she is a good friend of mine and joins us right here in the studio.
Hey,
hello, so good to see you.
It's good to be here.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You're a published author, girl.
You know, it still has yet to sink in. It feels good.
But what a journey you've been on for these last few years.
Yeah, I mean, you call it a journey, and that's absolutely what it feels like. I never would have imagined when I set out to lose baby weight that it would take me to this place.
You set out to lose baby weight, but you talk about in the book, the fact is you had struggled with weight and body image issues your entire life.
My entire
I want
life.
to talk about Aunt Shirley later. But first of all, when you're facing weight loss like that, you said you wanted to lose 40 pounds.
Right.
You ended up losing 90. How do you even face that? How do you even start that journey?
You know, for me, the priority was to lose the baby weight. So I was 50 pounds overweight before I got pregnant. Then I gained 40 pounds in pregnancy. And so when I had my daughter, I found myself at the heaviest I'd ever been by far. And so my priority was just to get back to my pre-baby size. So it was a little less daunting, you know, because that was a number I knew, that was a number I was familiar with, and I was confident I could get there. But I was so focused on my mission, and I wasn't down about it. I wasn't self-loathing. I was focused like a laser that I was going to do this. I wasn't going to give myself any excuses, and I was going to figure it out.
I think people sometimes struggle to find that focus, to find that determination, if you will. For any woman or man who's tried to lose weight and struggled with their weight, we're looking for motivation. You talked in your book about literally binging for hours, strolling from one eating establishment to another. You speak very honestly about dealing with depression. How were you able to make that turn? Because those are two forces in many cases that are out of our control.
Absolutely. And when I look back on it, you know, that was one of the biggest questions my editor had when I submitted the manuscript. She said, we need more detail about how you got out of this hole. And I couldn't provide any because I don't know how, other than to say, but for the grace of God, that one day at a time, slowly I got better. The urge to binge became less frequent and less urgent. The depression lifted, optimism came into my life, and all of a sudden I looked up and I looked back on those past few years and they were behind me, and I realized that I was better.
You know, as you were talking about this journey in the book, you really were brutally honest. You know, as I've known you for a little while and we've had honest conversations, but man, did I learn some stuff about you.
The people closest to me learned a lot about me in this book. There are things that I've never shared with anyone.
That had to have been difficult. Did you have to have sort of a reckoning, a come to Jesus, if you will, with yourself to really lay this out?
You know what was important to me was that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it honestly, because there's so much value in honesty. You know, let's be real for a minute. The devil is a liar, right? So he tells you you have something to be ashamed of and you should keep it to yourself. And when I realized that by holding on to this, I was not only holding on to the shame, but I was enabling other people's shame. That was a turning point for me. I was going to be honest about it. I have nothing to be ashamed of, and other people who are struggling with this have nothing to be ashamed of.
Okay, so let's get through some of the epiphanies that you had and that you track along the way, because I can hear our viewers saying, but how did she do it? How did she do it? So some of these epiphanies, first of all, I'm not sure this is how you wrote it, but that it's about the food. It's really about what you put in your mouth.
It's all about the food. And you know, in the previous attempts to lose weight, and sometimes I lost, but it was never lasting, you know, I gave food and exercise equal attention. So I would kill myself at the gym, I'd be exhausted, and I would give food the same attention. What I learned, because I wasn't cleared for exercise right away, I just had a baby. So all I could do was focus on the food, and that worked really well. I didn't start exercising until I lost 50 pounds, which means that I lost 50 pounds without exercise. And what I learned is exercise plays a really small role in weight loss. It's good for you, small role in weight loss. You have to focus on the food.
I love this quote that you have in your great bodies are made in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, not the gym.
Wow. Okay, so talking of exercise, you say work out hard or stay home.
Yeah, that was one of the other things I learned, is that in my previous iterations, I'd go to the gym, I'd get on the elliptical, I'd put on the TV, and I would watch TV for 30 minutes. I wouldn't even break a sweat. I wouldn't have to wash my gym clothes after every time I went to the gym because I didn't sweat in them, right? What I learned in this, time around and changing my lifestyle is that you only see results when you work really hard. And studies have shown people overestimate how hard they're working. So even if you think you're working hard, you can probably push yourself a little more, and that's where the growth is.
I want to breeze through these last couple because I want to get to one other topic before I have to let you go. You say planning is key. That's intuitive. That makes perfect sense. Sleep is a necessity, not an indulgence.
Yeah, and I realized this without understanding the research behind it, which I learned later. It is proven that when you sleep, when you don't get enough sleep, the hormone in your body that tells you you're hungry goes up, the one that tells you you're full goes down. So there are a lot of cases where we are eating because we're sleepy, that if you just get enough rest, you help yourself in your weight loss efforts.
You know, it was amazing to read this, not just because you're a friend of mine, but it was like hearing the story of a girlfriend. You wrote it it's a very easy, very approachable read. I congratulate you on that. But you added a chapter 9, almost in the back, about your faith. And you have that quote in there, the devil is a liar.
Yeah.
Why did you put faith in your weight loss journey?
You know, that was not in my original manuscript. We were done. We were headed to the printer, and I had a conversation with a girlfriend. I told her about how big of a role faith played in my journey. She said, you have to get that in. The reality is that for me, I could not have made these changes, which were so excruciating, without the support of God. You have to turn to a higher power when you have a challenge that big.
Well, congratulations on the journey
and
on the book.
I appreciate it, Debbie. Thank you.
It's called Thin-spired, and this is Arise America.